The moment they walked away, something inside me went quiet. Not the kind of quiet that feels peaceful, the kind that leaves your chest hollow like the air itself forgot you exist. I stood there in the middle of Nashville International Airport, clutching my purse like it could hold my dignity together. My son and his wife were already halfway to the security gate. "You know what, Mom?" Tanya called over her shoulder, her voice sweet like poison. "We only bought you a one-way ticket. The return trip, you'll figure it out." She rolled her shiny suitcase into the first-class line, laughing at something my son whispered. He didn't even look back. Not once. For a second, I thought it was a cruel joke. Any moment now he'd turn around, grin that boyish grin and say, "Come on, Mom, we're kidding." But he didn't. He kept walking, hand on her back, like I was nothing more than an old inconvenience they'd finally put down. People brushed past me. Travelers chasing flights, laughter echoing from somewhere I no longer belonged. The ticket clerk's voice still rang in my ears. "I'm sorry, ma'am. This reservation shows no return flight." My throat burned, but no tears came. Just that familiar ache, the one that used to hit when Jake was late coming home from work and I feared the worst. Only this time I wasn't afraid. I was empty. They hadn't just left me without a ticket. They left me without a name. The loudspeaker announced another boarding call, and the world kept moving as if nothing had happened. I stood frozen while the crowd flowed around me. Families laughing, couples holding hands, children tugging on suitcases. I must have looked strange. An older woman with no luggage, no ticket, and nowhere to go. A security guard glanced my way, pity softening his eyes for a moment before he looked away. Pity I'd seen that look before. It always came right before people decided you weren't worth the trouble. I sat down on a cold metal bench near gate B22, my fingers trembling as I smoothed out the useless itinerary still clutched in my hand. Printed dates, flight numbers, and a fake promise. That piece of paper had meant belonging this morning. Now it was just proof that I had been fooled. For a moment, I tried to remember how it had felt waking up that morning, hopeful. They'd called it a family trip, a fresh start after the funeral. My husband's funeral. Jake had been gone only 2 months. My heart still carried the sound of him humming in the kitchen, asking where I'd hidden the cinnamon. I sold the last pearls he gave me just to help pay for this trip. They said it was a group effort. Everyone's pitching in. Tanya had smiled, and I believed her. Now I understood. I hadn't been invited out of love. I'd been invited out of convenience. And convenience doesn't buy return tickets. The minutes dragged into hours. I didn't even notice when the terminal lights dimmed slightly for the evening. The rhythmic announcement of delayed flights became the soundtrack to my humiliation. My phone sat silent in my lap. Not a single message, not even a text from my son. I checked anyway, as if maybe the signal had failed, not the relationship. But it wasn't the network. It was him. I scrolled through old photos, birthdays, holidays, little moments that once felt permanent. There was Jake holding our newborn, eyes full of pride. There was me at Jason's wedding, standing beside him while Tanya's smile never quite reached her eyes. She always held him too tightly, as if she owned every piece of him, even the parts that used to belong to me. Somewhere between those pictures, I realized how it had started. Slowly. First came the excuses. "Mom, we're busy." Then the distance, fewer calls, shorter visits. And then the silence. Tanya had built a wall brick by brick, and my son had helped her seal it. I put my phone away and took a deep breath that tasted like airport coffee and regret. I wasn't just lost. I was unwanted. Still, something inside whispered, "Don't crumble here." If I was going to fall apart, it wouldn't be under fluorescent lights while strangers passed by. I straightened my shoulders, stood up, and whispered to myself, "If they can leave me behind, I can learn to walk without them." And that was the first step, away from the gate and toward the woman I used to be. I walked aimlessly through the airport, dragging my old handbag like it weighed 100 pounds. Every direction sign looked the same: departures, arrivals, baggage claim, all pointing somewhere people were wanted. I didn't fit any of them. I found a small cafe tucked beside an empty gate. The smell of burnt coffee and cinnamon rolls clung to the air. I ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, a plain tea, and sat by the window watching planes take off one after another. Each one carried someone's beginning. Mine had ended before it started. The girl behind the counter must have seen the tremor in my hands because she quietly placed a small cookie beside my cup. "On the house," she whispered. It was the first kindness I'd felt all day, and it almost broke me. I managed a weak smile, blinking hard to keep the tears from falling. When I finally looked out again, the glass reflected a tired woman I barely recognized. Pale eyes, lines carved deep by time and disappointment. Jake used to say I had hopeful eyes. I wondered when that light went out. I checked my wallet. $58. Few coins. No return ticket, no plan. But I had something I hadn't felt in a long time: anger. Not the kind that destroys, but the kind that wakes you up. Maybe Tanya thought she'd ended me by leaving me here. Maybe Jason believed I'd just sit and wait for someone to save me. But I've been saving people my whole life. Now it was my turn. Outside the airport, the night air was sharp and smelled faintly of rain. I pulled my shawl tighter around my shoulders and stared at the rows of taxis waiting for passengers with destinations. I had none. The driver at the front, a man with kind eyes, leaned out and asked, "You need a ride, ma'am?" I hesitated. Where would I even go? My home had been sold after Jake died. The mortgage too heavy for a single pension. I had moved in with Jason and Tanya, believing their promise that family takes care of family. Now I understood that promise had an expiration date. "I just need somewhere to think," I said quietly. He nodded, as if he understood more than I'd said. "There's a diner a few blocks down, open all night. Good coffee, cheap pie." I climbed in, and for the first time that day I felt a small flicker of safety. The rain started as a drizzle, tracing the window with silver threads. Each drop felt like a tiny piece of the storm inside me finally finding its way out. The diner glowed like a memory from another time. Neon lights, old songs, people who looked tired but alive. I sat in a booth by the window, nursing a cup of coffee that tasted more like courage than caffeine. Somewhere between the rain and the hum of the jukebox, a strange thought came to me. Maybe being left behind wasn't the end of my story. Maybe it was the beginning I never knew I needed. The diner was almost empty. A truck driver dozed over his meal, and a waitress in a faded pink uniform hummed softly as she wiped tables. I wrapped my hands around the warm mug, letting the heat steady me. For the first time all day, my mind stopped spinning long enough for the truth to settle in. They hadn't abandoned me because I was weak. They'd done it because I'd made it too easy for them. For years I'd said yes when I wanted to say no. I'd watched Tanya take over my son's life, their decisions, their home, even the way he spoke to me. And I told myself it was love. That love meant patience, silence, sacrifice. But love shouldn't feel like disappearing. I took out my old leather purse and emptied it onto the table. A small comb, a few folded bills, a photo of Jake, his arm around me at the lake, both of us sunburned and laughing. And beneath it all, a business card. St. Mary's Handcraft Shelter. It read, with a faded number below. I remembered the volunteer who'd given it to me months ago saying, "If you ever need a place to stay, even for a night, call us." I tucked it away, never thinking I'd need it. But maybe that was exactly what it was for, not for weakness but for starting over. I took a deep breath, picked up my phone and dialed the number. My hands trembled as it rang. A woman's voice answered softly, "St. Mary's, how can we help you tonight?" "Ma'am, we have a bed available tonight if you can make it before midnight," the voice said gently. I could hear the soft shuffle of background noise, women talking, someone laughing faintly, the clatter of dishes. It didn't sound like pity. Sounded like life. I don't have much," I whispered. "Just a purse and a few dollars." "That's all right," she said. "Just bring yourself." The words cracked something inside me. No one had said that in a long time, just bring yourself, as if I was still enough. The taxi ride to the shelter was quiet. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. As we pulled up to a modest brick building, I saw a painted sign above the door. "Hope restarts here." A middle-aged woman with curly hair met me at the entrance. "You must be Evelyn," she said, "the first person that night to use my name. Come on in, sweetheart." The shelter was simple but warm. Beds lined one wall, and the faint scent of lavender hung in the air. A few women sat together sewing and chatting quietly. One of them looked up and smiled at me. It wasn't the kind of smile that demanded anything, just one that said, "I see you." When I finally lay down, the sheets smelled clean like sun and soap. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the soft rhythm of breathing around me. For the first time in months, I didn't feel afraid of tomorrow. I felt curious. Morning light spilled through the narrow window, painting thin golden lines across the floor. For a moment, I didn't remember where I was. The faint chatter, the smell of oatmeal and coffee, the sound of someone laughing softly. Then it came back. The shelter. The night I'd been left behind. And strangely, the heaviness in my chest wasn't as sharp anymore. At breakfast, a woman named Nora sat across from me. She had silver streaks in her hair and a smile that carried both pain and peace. "First night's always the hardest," she said between spoonfuls. "After that, you start to breathe again." I nodded, unsure what to say. She noticed the photo of Jake I'd placed beside my tray. "He looks like he loved you well," she said. "He did," I whispered. "And I forgot how to love myself after he was gone." She reached across the table, touching my hand lightly. "Then maybe this is where you start remembering." Later that day, one of the volunteers asked if I could help in the sewing room. "We men donated clothes before distributing them," she explained. The sound of fabric under the machine, the soft pull of thread. It all felt familiar, comforting. My hands remembered what my heart had forgotten. Creation heals. As I stitched a torn pocket, something inside me stitched too. Piece by piece, I began mending the version of myself that Tanya and Jason had tried to tear apart. Maybe I didn't need a family to start over. Maybe I just needed my own hands. Days at St. Mary's settled into a rhythm, the kind that gently teaches you to live again. Morning tea, a few chores, then afternoons spent in the sewing room. The hum of the machines became my new heartbeat. Each garment that passed through my hands carried a story. A child's jacket with a missing button, a dress with a torn sleeve, a blanket that smelled faintly of smoke. I fixed them all, one careful stitch at a time. One evening, Nora peeked over my shoulder as I repaired a tiny pink backpack. "You've got steady hands," she said. "Ever done this professionally?" I smiled faintly. "Used to sew for neighbors. Just small things, curtains, pillow covers, dresses now and then." She grinned. "You've got talent, Evelyn. Maybe you should start again." The idea seemed ridiculous at first, me starting over at 63 with a few dollars and an old sewing kit. But that night, lying in my narrow bed, the thought wouldn't leave me. For years, I'd stitched for others without ever realizing how much joy it gave me. Maybe it wasn't too late to turn that into something more. A week later, the shelter director approached me. "We're setting up a small booth for local crafts this weekend," she said. "Would you like to display some of your work?" My heart stuttered. No one had asked for something I made in years. I looked down at my hands, rough, wrinkled but strong, and nodded. "Yes," I said softly. "I think I would." Saturday morning came with the kind of nervous excitement I hadn't felt in decades. The shelter courtyard buzzed with activity. Tables draped in colorful cloths, handmade crafts, knitted scarves, baked goods. Women chatted, children laughed, and sunlight spilled through the trees like a quiet blessing. I arranged my small display, a few hand-sewn tote bags, patched quilts, and a little embroidered pouch I'd finished the night before. Each stitch carried a piece of me, the pain, the patience, the healing. When the first customer stopped by, I nearly forgot how to speak. A young woman with kind eyes picked up the pouch, tracing the delicate flowers with her fingers. "This is beautiful," she said. "Did you make it?" "Yes," I managed, my voice trembling. She smiled. "I'll take it." She paid, thanked me, and walked away. A simple exchange, but it felt monumental. For the first time in a long while, someone saw value in something I'd created. By noon, half my table was empty. People complimented the stitching, the patterns, even the fabric choices. One woman asked if I took custom orders. I almost laughed at the thought, me with no home, no studio, no certainty. But instead I smiled and said, "Yes, I can make something special for you." As the sun dipped low, I realized something profound. I hadn't just sold fabric. I'd sold proof that I still mattered. And for the first time since that day at the airport, I didn't feel left behind. I felt found. The days after the craft fair felt different. Lighter. For the first time in years, I woke up with purpose. The shelter director stopped me one morning, waving a small envelope. "Someone left this for you at the fair," she said. Inside was a handwritten note. "Your work is beautiful. I own a small boutique downtown. If you ever want to collaborate, here's my number, Marla." My hands trembled as I read it. A boutique. Downtown. It felt like a door quietly opening, one I hadn't dared to knock on before. With Nora's encouragement, I called the number. Marla's voice was warm and bright. "Evelyn, I've been hoping you'd reach out. Those bags you made were exquisite. Would you consider making a few pieces for my shop?" I hesitated only a second before saying yes. Days turned into weeks of stitching, designing, and rediscovering joy in creation. Marla picked up my first batch herself. 10 hand-stitched purses, each unique. "They'll sell out fast," she said confidently. And she was right. Within a week, she called again. "Evelyn, we need more." With every new order, I earned not just money, but something more precious, self-respect. I began setting a little aside from each sale. A few dollars here, a few there. Enough for dreams to start whispering again. One evening, as I packed another finished purse, I realized my stitches were steadier, my back straighter, my heart quieter. I wasn't surviving anymore. I was living. It had been 3 months since the night I was left at the airport. If someone had told me then that I'd be standing here, steady, working, hopeful, I would have laughed through my tears. But here I was, packing a small suitcase in the corner of the shelter, ready to move into a room of my own. "Feels strange, doesn't it?" Nora said, watching me fold my clothes. "It does," I admitted. "This place saved me. But I think it's time I see who I am outside these walls." She hugged me tightly. "You found yourself again here, Evelyn. Don't lose her out there." The room I rented was small. A single bed, a cracked window, and peeling wallpaper. But it was mine. I placed my sewing machine by the window and set Jake's photo on the nightstand. For the first time since he died, I didn't feel haunted by his absence. I felt guided by it. I spent evenings sewing by the glow of a desk lamp, the soft hum of the machine filling the silence that used to hurt. Marla continued placing orders, and even hinted about teaching workshops for beginners. One night, while sipping tea and sketching new designs, I caught my reflection in the window. My hair was streaked with silver, my hands rough, but there was light in my eyes again, the kind Jake used to love. I whispered to the quiet room, "You were right, love. I'm still here." It happened on an ordinary afternoon. I was at Marla's boutique, helping arrange a new display of handmade purses when the doorbell chimed. I looked up and froze. Jason stood there. My son. He looked thinner, older, his confidence replaced by something tight and nervous. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The past hung between us, heavy and fragile. "Mom," he said finally, his voice low. "I didn't know where else to find you." I set the purse down carefully, keeping my hands steady even as my heart trembled. "How did you know I was here?" He swallowed hard. "I saw your name on one of the labels. Marla posted about you online. I've been trying to call. I hadn't checked my old phone number in months. Maybe that was mercy." "What do you want, Jason?" My voice came out softer than I expected. He looked down. "I'm sorry, Mom. Tanya, she shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have let her. Things fell apart after that trip. She left." A flicker of pain crossed his face, familiar, almost boyish. "I don't know if you can ever forgive me," he whispered. "But I wanted to tell you I was wrong." For years I dreamed of hearing those words. But standing there, I realized forgiveness wasn't something I had to give to heal. I'd already healed without it. I took a deep breath, looked him in the eyes and said quietly, "I already forgave you, but I don't need you to fix me anymore." Jason stood there speechless. His eyes glistened, and for a moment, I saw the boy who used to run to me with scraped knees and tear-streaked cheeks. That same boy was now a man, broken in ways I couldn't fix anymore. He took a small step closer. "Can we start over?" he asked, voice cracking. I wanted to reach out, to hold him, to tell him everything would be okay. But I'd spent too many years patching holes in other people while I unraveled. I smiled faintly, a peace I hadn't known in years settling in my chest. "Jason," I said softly, "starting over isn't something you ask for. It's something you build." He nodded slowly, understanding what I meant, that I wished him healing. But my life no longer revolved around waiting for his apology. We stood in silence for a long time before he whispered, "You look happy, Mom." "I am," I said simply. "For the first time, I truly am." When he left, the bell over the door chimed again, and sunlight poured through the window. I turned back to the table and picked up the purse I'd been stitching, a deep blue one with delicate white thread running through it like veins of light. Each stitch felt lighter now, freer. Forgiveness wasn't a gift to him. It was the final thread that set me free. Jake once told me, "Peace doesn't come when things are fixed. It comes when you stop breaking yourself to fix them." And now I understood. The morning after Jason's visit, I woke up before dawn. The sky outside my window was painted in soft shades of pink and gold, the kind of sunrise Jake used to call a promise from tomorrow. I brewed my tea and sat by the window, the hum of the city slowly awakening below. My sewing machine waited beside me, silent and ready. On the table lay a new design. A handbag stitched with the word Grace embroidered on the inside flap. Not for sale. This one was mine. Every stitch told my story: the airport, the betrayal, the rain-soaked night, the shelter, the women who became my sisters, the boutique that believed in me, and the son who finally learned what loss meant. I wasn't angry anymore. Not at Tanya, not at Jason, not even at myself. The pain had been a teacher, cruel, yes, but honest. It had stripped me bare, then handed me back the thread to rebuild. When I stepped outside, the air was cool, the streets still wet with dawn. I walked toward the bus stop, purse over my shoulder, heart steady. I wasn't the woman who waited for people to come back. I was the woman who walked forward, even when no one followed. As the bus doors opened, I smiled at my reflection in the glass. Silver hair, soft eyes, unshakable spirit. They left me at the airport once, but I found myself at the destination they never reached: peace. Evening sunlight spilled softly through the wide windows of Willow Grove, tinting the courtyard gold. Evelyn sat near the fountain, her watercolor set spread out before her. Around her, laughter echoed, Helen telling a joke, Ruth humming an old tune. Life, she thought, didn't end when they left her at that airport. It began. Each brushstroke she painted was a promise to herself, that she'd never again let anyone make her small, that she'd never measure her worth by how much space she took in someone else's story. Now she wrote her own in color, in calm, in courage. Every week she led a class for other women. Mothers, widows, survivors, each with a story they once thought was too painful to tell. "You're not broken," she'd say. "You're rebuilding." When the room filled with gentle smiles and trembling hands found strength again, she knew she'd planted something that would outlive her pain. That night, Evelyn closed her journal after writing one last line. "They left me once, but I found myself forever." She looked out at the moonlight resting on the garden she helped create, whispered a quiet thank you to Jake, and smiled. The peace she once chased had finally come home. Sparkles, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Grandma True Stories, where every heartbreak finds healing, and every forgotten voice finally gets heard.